That's really bad.
From bodies found floating in isolated waters to the exact moment where a peaceful day off completely implodes, these are some of the most chilling fishing encounters ever caught on camera. Viewer discretion is advised. Now, if there's one thing fishing is known for, it's for being the ultimate escape. It's that one hobby where you can just pack up a kayak, head out to a local lake, and completely tune out the rest of the world. And for a YouTuber known as Z Fishing TV, that is exactly what December 19th, 2023 was supposed to look like. He was out on his favorite local lake planning a simple, laid-back catch and cook. Nothing unusual. Just him, his kayak, and the open water. He starts paddling out, talking to the camera about his setup, getting completely ready to throw his very first bait of the day. But when you are out on the water, you are at the mercy of whatever happens to be drifting beneath the surface. And as Z moved his kayak toward a new spot, everything changed in a single second. At first, he notices something floating in the water, but it doesn't fully register. Your brain tries to protect you, right? It tells you it's a log or a pile of trash, or literally anything else besides the reality. But within seconds, the horrifying truth becomes impossible to ignore. It's a human body, floating completely motionless.
Alright guys, I think I found the body, and that is not cool.
You can hear the absolute raw panic climbing in his voice as he scrambles to turn his kayak around. Because let's be real, nobody prepares themselves for this. You head out expecting a quiet morning with a fishing rod, and suddenly you are staring at a crime scene. Z immediately does the right thing and contacts 911, but the nightmare doesn't stop there. He has to paddle all the way back to the boat launch, and when he gets there, he spots a couple of other boaters who are just casually getting ready to head out into the same water. He has to walk right up to them and break the news that their peaceful morning is canceled.
Hey, you guys, it might be, the police might be coming to launch a boat. The police? Yeah, they might be coming to launch a boat. It looks like there's a body over there. So, I mean, they might bring a boat.
There's a body over there?
It looks like there's a body over there. So the police are coming out and they might be bringing a boat.
Oh, terrible. We gotta go here.
Authorities arrived shortly after and secured the scene, confirming that it was indeed a real person, though no further details about who they were or how they ended up there were ever shared in the video. It's just one of those things that leaves you with a deeply unsettling feeling. We can only hope the family involved eventually found the closure they deserve. But as for Z, his fishing trip was over before it even started. But hey, at least he was in a kayak and could turn around, which is a luxury the person in our next clip definitely didn't have. On January 12th, 2023, an incredibly terrifying piece of fishing footage was uploaded to a channel called John Skinner Fishing. Now, in this case, it wasn't actually John himself in the video. It was one of his viewers who had sent in his own GoPro footage, hoping it could serve as a brutal warning to the rest of the fishing community. The man was out kayak fishing off Raritan Beach in New Jersey, battling freezing conditions and incredibly rough water early in the morning. Now, right from the very first second of the clip, you can already tell how dangerous this situation is. The wind is howling out of the west-northwest at 25 miles per hour, gusting all the way up to 40, and the air temperature is sitting at a freezing 50 degrees Fahrenheit. But here is the absolute critical metric you need to pay attention to. The water temperature was a staggering 48 degrees Fahrenheit, and when you are in water that cold, you aren't just dealing with discomfort. You are on a strict, deadly biological clock. In 48-degree water, the human body loses the ability to use its hands in about 5 minutes. Exhaustion or unconsciousness sets in within 30 to 60 minutes, and actual death follows in 1 to 3 hours. And look, if you want to fish in those conditions, that's your call. But maybe, just maybe, don't do it when you've broken literally every single safety rule in the book. Because, as John Skinner later points out, this guy was making some massive, catastrophic mistakes. First off, he wasn't wearing a life jacket, no personal flotation device whatsoever. Second, he was wearing heavy chest waders, which basically act like massive water-filled anchors the second you fall into a river or bay. And to top it all off, his kayak was just a basic, cheap department store model that wasn't built for stability or rough ocean waves. But the real kicker was how incredibly distracted he was. Despite the wind picking up and the waves growing entirely out of control, all he could think about was getting a selfie with a big fish he had just caught. He was so hyper-focused on logging into his phone, entering his passcode, and setting up the self-timer that he completely stopped paying attention to the water around him. And out of nowhere, nature decided to flip the script. Suddenly, he's over a mile away from the nearest shore, completely alone, with no life jacket, his heavy waders filling with freezing water, and his hands rapidly losing the ability to grip anything. It is a textbook nightmare scenario. Luckily for him, someone walking along the distant beach happened to spot the accident through the gray morning light and immediately dialed 911. Rescue crews managed to arrive just in time to pull him out. Because honestly, if he had been in that freezing water for just a few minutes longer, his body would have shut down completely, and this would have been his last fishing trip ever. If you've ever watched magnet fishing videos online, you know the whole appeal is the mystery. You're throwing a high-powered magnet into a muddy river or canal, joking around with your friends, and seeing what kind of weird history you can pull up. And for the YouTuber behind Outdoors Weekly, that's exactly what his channel is all about. He has this insane, infectious energy, and on this specific day, he and his buddies were out magnet fishing for the clean stream movement, trying to clear trash out of a local waterway. At first, spirits are high like usual. They are tossing their magnets out, laughing and pulling up normal random junk. A giant metal bar, a rusted old wrench, a shock absorber, and even a tube of lipstick. They eventually decide to pack up their gear, put another 500 miles on the car, and head over to a new spot near a city bridge to finish out the day. On his very first throw at the new location, one of his buddies pulls up a severely rusted, destroyed gun. They're hyped, cheering, and thinking they've scored the ultimate find for the video. But a few minutes later, his buddy Danny throws his magnet straight down off the bridge and hooks onto something incredibly heavy. And as he starts dragging it up to the surface, the entire atmosphere of the video completely shatters. The magnet had latched onto a heavy metal collar, and attached to that collar was a tightly wrapped blanket.
Oh, dude, that's a dog. Oh my gosh, Danny. Oh no, dude.
Alright, I'm not
Oh my gosh, man.
Alright, guys.
Oh my gosh.
That is a dead dog.
That is a dog. That is so sad, bro. It's a puppy.
It's wrapped up. So
Oh my gosh, man. It's in a blanket.
The gruesome, heartbreaking reality hits them like a freight train. It's a dead puppy, completely soaked and bloated, intentionally wrapped up and dumped into the river by someone who wanted it to disappear forever. The high-energy joking stops instantly. The vlogger completely loses his enthusiasm. They briefly throw around the idea of calling the local sheriff to report it, but they ultimately realize there isn't much the police can even do for a dumped animal carcass, so they decide it probably wouldn't change anything. And honestly, stumbling across something that cruel and disturbing when you are just trying to have a peaceful day, doing something genuinely good for the environment, it just leaves a sickening taste in your mouth. Now, when you think of dangerous ocean creatures, your brain probably goes straight to great white sharks or box jellyfish. You don't usually think of a pufferfish as a creature capable of sending a grown man to the hospital. But on July 6th, 2025, a wildly popular Australian survival YouTuber named YBS Youngbloods uploaded a video that proved just how wrong that assumption is. The day started out completely perfect. He was out exploring a stunning, isolated stretch of the Australian coast, with his dog Strider by his side, looking for a challenge. He decided he wanted to catch a venomous or dangerous species of fish, using nothing but his bare hands. Eventually, he spots a fish trapped in the shallow pools of a rising tide. He jumps straight into the water, reaches under the sharp coral, and tries to grab it. The fish lashes out, biting him several times on the hand, but he just brushes it off and laughs it away like it's nothing. Still, he feels like he didn't quite get the footage he wanted, so he decides to go search for something even more erratic. And that decision would quickly come back to haunt him in the most brutal way imaginable. He walks further down the shoreline and notices a massive pufferfish, specifically a big northwest blowy, behaving in a way he has never seen before. Instead of swimming away into the deep water, the pufferfish keeps swimming straight onto the shallow sand, right up to his feet. It almost looks like it's being friendly, like it just wants to say hello. The vlogger is fascinated, leaning down with his GoPro, completely captivated by how docile this creature seems to be. But what he didn't realize, and what the viewers could clearly see from the underwater camera angles, was that this pufferfish wasn't trying to be his friend. It was actively hunting. Pufferfish have incredibly powerful, sharp, beak-like teeth designed to crush thick crab shells and coral, and this one was just waiting for the perfect window to strike. The vlogger looks away from the fish for literally 5 seconds to adjust his stance, and out of nowhere, the pufferfish lunges.
Oh, holy shit. Oh, I wasn't looking, I was looking the other way and he full got me. Oh.
It happens so fast it's almost a blur. The fish clamps down and bites straight through his finger, taking half of it clean off. The audio cuts to his immediate, agonizing screams as blood starts pouring into the water. In a complete state of shock, he panics, shouting about needing to go to the hospital. He manages to scramble back to his vehicle, call his dad, and rush to the nearest emergency room, where doctors thankfully managed to save and reconstruct what was left of his mangled finger. It's a terrifying reminder that in the ocean, even the smallest, most innocent-looking creatures are entirely unpredictable. Speaking of unpredictable ocean encounters, let's look at a clip that went viral for capturing the exact moment a fun afternoon with friends turned into a literal horror movie. On June 11th, 2024, a terrifying piece of footage was uploaded to YouTube by a man named Terry. He and his buddies had spent the entire afternoon out on Sydney Harbour in Australia, doing some casual fishing and cliff diving into the deep water. Terry was recording everything from a first-person perspective using a GoPro mounted to his head. Just a completely normal, high-adrenaline summer day. But on his very final jump of the day, things took a chilling turn. Terry stands on the edge of the cliff, gets a running start, and leaps off, plunging deep beneath the surface of the harbor. But the exact second his head breaks back through the water, the audio picks up the sound of his friends on the cliffs above, absolutely screaming at the top of their lungs. They aren't cheering. They are panicking, screaming at him that there is a shark in the water right next to him. Terry immediately ducks his head back under the surface to see what's going on, and the GoPro footage captures something that will honest to God give you chills. Gliding through the murky green water just a few feet away from his dangling legs is a massive great white shark. It is silently circling him, completely aware of his presence, cutting through the water with terrifying ease. You can hear Terry's hyperventilating breathing through the GoPro as he frantically swims back toward the safety of the rocks, expecting a strike at any second. Luckily, for reasons we will never know, the apex predator decided not to engage, and Terry managed to climb out of the harbor completely unharmed. But if that shark had decided to strike, Terry wouldn't have stood a single chance. If there's one channel that knows how quickly a simple fishing challenge can devolve into a survival situation, it's 618 Fishing. His channel is entirely dedicated to unique fishing challenges, and for this specific video, he decided to try a tiny lure fishing challenge, literally trying to catch fish using the smallest microscopic bait possible. The only problem? He was doing this in the dead of winter on a frozen lake, completely alone, without any proper safety gear. No life vest, no safety ropes, no ice picks, nothing. At first, he's walking carefully across the ice, talking to the camera and trying to find the perfect spot to drill a hole. But as he moves further out, you can hear a sudden, sharp, sickening crack echo across the quiet lake. Before he can even react, the ice completely gives way beneath his boots, and he drops straight through the crust into the freezing water. He plunges in all the way up to his chest. And if you've never fallen through ice before, the immediate physical reaction is what doctors call the cold shock response. Your lungs automatically gasp for air, and if your head is underwater, you drown instantly. Because he was alone, there was nobody to throw him a line or pull him out. He had to use his bare hands to claw at the slippery, brittle edges of the surrounding ice shelf, desperately trying to get enough leverage to hoist his heavy, freezing body back onto solid ground before hypothermia paralyzed his muscles. Luckily, the ice didn't break any further, and he managed to pull himself out of the hole and stumble back to the safety of his car. But a few seconds longer in water like that, and his body would have given up completely. This video stands as a stark, scary reminder that winter conditions do not forgive a single mistake. On August 20th, 2024, a deeply unsettling piece of footage was uploaded to YouTube by a creator called Fish Tucker Man. Tucker and his buddy James were out off the west coast of Australia, enjoying a completely laid-back catch and cook boat trip. The weather was beautiful, the sun was out, and everything pointed to a flawless day on the water. That is, until they spotted an anomaly floating miles out in the open ocean where absolutely nobody should have been. As they steer their boat closer to investigate, they realize they are looking at a completely capsized kayak, and clinging to the side of it is a lone man, desperately struggling to keep his head above water. Tucker immediately kills the engine and glides up next to him. The man, who identifies himself as Dom, is visibly exhausted, shivering, and barely holding on.
What do you got here? Okay.
It's just empty.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, good man.
Are you there? Get in my bag.
Yeah, we'll get your stuff.
Yeah.
He tells them he's only been in the water for about 5 minutes after his kayak capsized when he leaned too far to one side. But the reality was that the strong ocean current was already rapidly pulling him out into the deep sea. Tucker and James act instantly, deploying the boat's ladder and hauling the freezing, shaken man out of the ocean and onto their deck. They offer him water, wrap him up, and even manage to secure his capsized kayak to the back of their boat to tow it back to shore. But when you look at how vast and empty that stretch of ocean was, the reality of the situation hits you. Dom had no way of signaling for help, and the current was moving fast. If Tucker and his friend hadn't crossed paths with him at that exact intersecting second,